Three. All right, guys. Kicked off a little bit early, so hopefully y'all will have already be waiting and already be joining us. I see Jason's already in with us. I hope y'all are having a good morning. We are
Is that
being
Jason
honored.
Collins? Is that
No,
Jason Collins?
no, Jason Holmes. I'm sure
Oh, okay.
Collins is at work
All right. No,
already.
no, no. I'm just
Uh,
curious.
Carrie will probably be on in a minute too. But we've got a great guest. Mr. Tony's back with us. We're not going to be sharing any photos, so I figured what better person to have, considering he's got such great stories and y'all got such great questions y'all like asking him. And so we had Mr. Tony join us, and I'm just going to go ahead and hand it over to him and let him get us started today.
Okay. First, I'd like to thank you, Bud, again for having me on. I do like to tell stories. I can attribute that to my Irish heritage. Um, and I want to say how much I appreciate you hanging in there with us, especially me. Every now and then we have a culture clash. But I expect that kind of thing, and I appreciate you hanging in with me, and I appreciate you having me on. I, you'll see me touch my face a lot. I've got a lot of old man stuff going on, which is rosacea, and my head itches, and so you'll see me touching my face a lot. I'm going to speak in the language of the times, like that. I think what Bud and I talked about was that we would talk about some of the missions at CCS. I've been on a couple of podcasts now, and then someone came to my house last week and did a historical interview, and the story I told on the last broadcast was the barn story, and I'm getting bored with it. So I thought it'd be nice to talk about my participation on Team TAC at CCS.
Excellent. All right,
so you want me to just kick it off?
Yeah, the floor is yours, sir. We're all here. Yes, sir.
Okay. So I left FOB2 in November of 1968 and went to Okinawa in first group. And so I was there. I was trying to get my family there from back in the States. My wife and my youngest daughter, my oldest daughter. And after I'd gotten them there for a little bit, so they got there in January of '69. And then there was a rumor going around that they were looking for guys who had been in SOG to go back for a TDY trip, a temporary duty trip, 6 months. So, they're looking for volunteers. So I went in and volunteered. I told my wife, they gave me a speech. Oh, we need you so much, Sergeant Love. We can't do without you. Your experience, blah, 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 blah. And to try to take some of the heat off of that. But she found out later, so-and-so told me it was all volunteer. You volunteered. Well, yeah, I know. But they still told me they needed me. So I volunteered. So yeah, she wasn't happy about that. So March of '69, which is 4 months after I left FOB2, I'm back at CCS. Oh, but before we went there, they had us all together. So that each of the FOBs CCN, CCC, and CCS were going to get three-man teams each. So there was 9, 18, what the fuck is 9 and 18? 27,
Yes.
27 people was in this group. And before we went, we did a lot of training, a lot of running. They had this jungle firing range that we all went through, climbing rope ladders. It was kind of like a 1-0 school without the FTX. They put us through all kinds of stuff, a lot of training and a lot of running. And so we got back down. We got to, I wanted to go back to CCC. I don't know why they didn't send me to CCC. I guess everybody wanted to go there and because of its, reputation and stuff. So they sent me to CCS, and it wasn't anything like FOB2, and so the culture was different. Moose, my team leader Moose, seemed to be always pissed off about something or another. Anyway, so 4 months later, I'm back at CCS doing Recon. And I was with Moose Monroe, or Alton Moose was his nickname, Moose Monroe and Mike Pelez. And they assigned us to Team TAC. At CCS, they named the teams after tools. It was Team Auger and Team Plane, and we were Team TAC. I never really knew what kind of TAC we were, whether we were furniture TAC or a thumb TAC, but TAC we were. They signed us, so they had hired mountain yarders before we got there, and so they had a whole mountain yard team for each of the 3 American team members. I remember they weren't well trained, but mountain yards are good in the woods anyway. So, but we needed to train them up a little bit, and we didn't have much time because we trained up. I remember training about a week maybe with these guys, and then they sent us on a local to shake out all the kinks, and we didn't have any choice about that. We wanted to go straight in on a mission. They wouldn't let us. They insisted on us running a local. So I guess that was the FTX part of the 1-0 school. Although we never got credit for 1-0 school, it wasn't appropriate. So sent us out on this local, gave us a radio, told us the 24-hour monitoring on the radio. We get out there. It's supposed to be a 2-day thing, so we were out there first day. And we had to kick the yards around a little bit because they were, lighting little fires at night, and put that shit out, that kind of stuff. And I mean, they weren't trained. They weren't trained for recon. They were good though, but they weren't trained. And so the second day we ran across to VC, and we fired them up, and then we radioed back to the compound. Couldn't get anybody on the radio, and so we searched the bodies. They didn't have anything on them, and then we walked back into camp the next day. We said, we shot 2 fucking VC out there. They go, really? Yeah. We tried to call you guys on the radio. We didn't know. We didn't know whether there were more, but we were trying to get somebody on the radio. Nobody came up. So anyway, ran some good missions at CCS. One particular one I'll talk about because we actually went in on it. How long would it train? I would we trained all day long. How to set up claymores, fire and maneuver, how to plant toe poppers. Sometimes we would, if we had the opportunity, we would train on getting pulled out on strings and climbing up rope ladders, but we didn't have that opportunity. So we trained up about a week. We went on a FTX. They scheduled us for a mission, and we went off on our first mission, which was down in the southern launch site, which was down in Quan Loy. I hated being down in Quan Loy. Quan Loy was a hot area. They got a lot of mortar rounds. They had an air base there, so they got a lot of mortar rounds and stuff. And at night, they had a bunker. When they sounded the alarm, you would jump out of your cot and go crawl in the bunker. And I couldn't wait to get in the field when I was there. Man. I just I hated staying there. So put us in on our first mission, and we got on the ground right away. It was weird vegetation. It was like it wasn't grass, but it was some kind of ferny kind of stuff. That was about just above waist high. You could be if you're walking through it, you could see, but if you just duck down, nobody could see. So point man jumped up and got us all to get down. So we went down. We got down. These 3 dudes come tootling down this trail on bicycles. So they passed by. Moose asked me, what I think. I said, well, we know that we crossed over that area, so that trail doesn't go past the LZ. So they got to be coming back. So let's fucking catch a prisoner. So we set up. Had me and Moose and the Mountain Yard team leader. I was supposed to kill the first guy on the bicycle, and the Mountain Yard team leader was supposed to kill the third guy, and then Moose was gonna jump out and overpower the middle guy. So we set up for that. Put a yard down on each end of the trail, left and right security, one behind us, and 3 of us set up on the trail waiting on them to come back. It wasn't long till they came back. And first guy got even with me, and I popped him off. And then the Mountain Yard team leader shot the third guy, and then fucking jumped out on the trail and buttered everybody up. I mean, he killed fucking everybody, which was, lack of training. We had not had time to train for a prisoner snatch, but it was right in our laps, man. We just missed it. So anyway, we searched them and took the weapons, and they chewed our ass for not bringing the bicycles back. But that's probably true. So anyway, that was our first mission. We came close to catching a prisoner first mission. That was like hot shit. So we were off to a good start. But God damn it. I tried so many times to catch a prisoner and I never caught one, man. It's like, fuck that. So anyway, so that was our first mission. But the best mission we ran, I think what we did is there was a camp close to the border. I want to think it was Budop, but I'm not quite sure. So we went to Budop, and we went in there and told them what we wanted to do, which was to walk out of their A camp and walk across the border, because the border was a small stream that was ankle deep. It wasn't deep during this time of the year. So they organized a platoon effort to, so we were the point element of their platoon effort, which went up and around up near to the border where we were supposed to cross over. And then we just crossed on over, and they went on because they were making a lot of noise. And it was like, you know, they were running a regular platoon action near the border. While they were doing that, we slipped across and walked for about a day, and didn't see much. So the next day, we walked up and discovered a road that wasn't on the maps, wasn't in any of the briefings. It was a road nobody knew about. It's covered by jungle. And so Moose and I took turns. It was just Moose and I on this trip. Pelez didn't come with us. Moose and I took turns going up and back and sitting on the road and taking notes about what we saw and that kind of thing. And the time we were there, we counted 32 2.5-ton trucks full of equipment and rice and that kind of stuff. Troops marching up and down there, heavily armed, RPGs, AKs, heavy machine guns, that kind of stuff. A lot of troops. And we were close. I mean, we were like right up next to the trail. And as a matter of fact, I remember I was up there, and I remember I had to piss so bad, man. I was like laying next to the road. I had to freaking piss so bad. And finally I just said, well, hell, I'm just going to piss. So I just pissed on my pants. And it's like, I'd rather do that than compromise the position. So anyway, so that was a hoot. And we did that for a whole day. And then we went and found the places at RON to remain overnight. And got up the next day and wanted to move back up on the road, and their yards quit. They didn't want to go back up there. Too many fucking VC. And so we were pissed about that. I mean, it's like, you know, but in retrospect, they were probably right. Here's these two Americans who are come and go, and you know, we're gonna do something risky and dangerous. That's actually risky and dangerous, and you know, we don't have a clue what we're getting into, kind of thing. And so, you know, they were probably right to quit. You know, had I been in their shoes, I might have quit. But anyway, so they quit. So we called when Covey was up. We told Covey that our people quit. So they brought in a chopper and pick us up. And they had a team on the chopper. And team got off and we got on. The chopper took off. So chopper took off. We get back to Bambi Tuit. We fire those motherfuckers. Yeah, man, we walked them son of bitches out the gate. And I think we had 2 or 3 yards left on Team TAC that were pretty inexperienced, but I don't know where we wrestled up a team, but they wanted us to go back in there because the team that they put in on the helicopter had gotten shot up soon after they jumped off the chopper.
Ooh.
So they wanted us to go back in. And so we decided we'd walk across again so that we wouldn't have any telltale helicopter shit. So so we did that. We walked across, and we're moving up to where we knew the road was. It took a while to get there. And then we're moving after dark, and I did not like that. But we're moving after dark, and we ran up on a NVA Outpost. So whoever was manning the outpost hollered out a challenge, and we didn't answer. We just like crept away. So the next morning we woke up. There was a signal shot behind us, signal shot to the right, signal shot to the left. So they had us on 3 sides already. Now it's about 6:30 in the morning. So Moose and I talked about it, and I guess the conclusion was, the open side, they probably got an ambush waiting for us, but we know where they are, so we got to go where we believe they're not. So we started running from that point on, and it was that thing turned into an all-day sucker, man. We ran. They were behind us. We didn't run into an ambush. I don't know why they didn't set up an ambush on that 4th point, but we didn't. I was dropping 15-second delay grenades, setting them up to holler. They were hollering back there, slowed them down, but they were right behind us all fucking day. And we finally got some air support out there, and then I started dropping smokes and having the gunships clean out in between the smokes. And every pass they made, they received fire, and they were close. The guys were close behind, and we haven't even fired our weapons yet. We hadn't even shot anybody yet. Just dropping grenades, basically. So then. We kind of got them off of us, and they led us to a landing zone to get us pulled out. So we ran to it, and we set up next to it. And then Covey yells at us, get the fuck out of there, man. They're coming out of the fucking woods like ants. we're gonna stick the gun. We'll put the guns on them, but you gotta move, man. Move north, So we start moving north. We started running north, and they found us in LZ. And they told us they were going to pick us up with strings. Oh. So we rigged for that. So if you rig for strings, at least the way we rigged for strings, I don't know how everybody did it, but if you rig for strings, everybody except the radio operator, me, takes off their rucksack, and we carabine them together, and then when they drop the strings, one of us snaps them on the bottom of their rig. And the radio operator keeps the radio on because you have to, tell the helicopter to go, or, give guidance to the helicopter or talk to Covey. And so they tell us they're going to drop us out on string, pull us out on strings. So we rigged for strings. So everybody rigged up their freaking rucksacks together on a carabiner, and the helicopter drops into the landing zone and throws down a rope ladder. And as soon as they dropped that ladder, man, everybody fucking scrambled up this son of a bitch with me. And I'm down there with those fucking 5 rucksacks, trying to hook them onto the bottom of that rope ladder with this carabiner, and the helicopter's going up and down, up and down, up and down. And that's getting to be about 4 o'clock in the morning, and we've been running all day. I'm freaking exhausted. I got nothing. I hardly got anything left, man. So finally, it dropped down real quick, and I, like aimed that carabiner at it, and I snapped it. Then I started cramming up the rope ladder, and there's a way you're supposed to climb a rope ladder, which is climb up the edge. But if you climb up a rope ladder, like hold the ladder straight and then put your feet on it, what happens is the bottom, you get no lift from your legs because the bottom rungs kind of just disappear out from under you, if that makes any sense. So you're pushing with your legs, and the ropes giving with your legs, so you're not getting any straight up push. So it's totally an arm thing.
It's swinging.
Yeah, and swinging. So I'm climbing up the freaking rope ladder, and I get to the strut of the aircraft. To the strut of the helicopter, and I look up at the door gunner. Everybody else is in the chopper, and I look up at the door gunner, and I said, "Help me, help me!" And he was looking straight in my eyes, and then he looked away, and I went, "What the fuck?" So I don't know where I found the energy. I found 2 or 3 more rungs. I went up, and I'm in the chopper, and we're off. So that was another good mission. I mean, we got a lot of intel off that, even though we were only there, watch that road a day for one day. It was, evidently a major supply line.
Wow.
Yeah, good mission.
Wow. It's let me get off into to where you can see me here. Hang on.
Okay.
I've speaking of when you were talking about the first mission, and you guys came across the bicycle, and y'all were wanting to get them back. It seems like CCS, Mr. Dale Kerr's another one of them. Seems like a lot of y'all at CCS came across bicycles more than any other group. I don't know why that is. Maybe they didn't mention them as much, but it seems like every CCS book or story, or at least a member of one of the teams, has had a bike incident, and I always find that interesting that y'all coming across bicycles and stuff still.
Yeah, man, they were tootling down that trail. I mean, they had obviously done it before. So,
Wow.
yeah.
We've got a few questions if you want to.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. David, he kind of mentioned a little bit of a night patrol, but let's see. I don't want to answer for him. Let's see. Um, any dangerous night patrols with starlight scopes against the VC?
The Starlight Scopes was technology that was just coming out when I was there. We didn't. I did a last light insertion. We did move at night on sometimes. That was a rare thing. Mainly the difficulty, if you move at night, you stand a chance of getting caught. And if you get caught, you typically don't get air support until the next morning. So that means you have to escape and evade all night long until daylight, and after the pilots have had their breakfast, do you get any air support. So for us, and for me, let's say, I don't know about other teams. I can't speak for them. But I did not like to move at night. I have done it. As a matter of fact, the story I just told, we were moving at night. and we stumbled up on an outpost, and then the next morning we're surrounded on 3 sides.
God Almighty, that's that I bet that had to be shocking after doing all that all night, and then walk up on that infrastructure out there in the middle of the Cambodian jungle like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, this one's interesting. Did your loadout change at all when you went on operations in Cambodia versus Laos? Could you get away with leaving stuff behind, or did you have to bring something extra?
It depended on the mission and the area. Um, I started carrying after I left FOB2. I started carrying less ammunition than I used to. I got I had the motto of traveling light and sleep cold at night. So I replaced what ammunition I um, was losing with the Car 15. I replaced with stuff from my sawed-off M79.
Okay.
So that I like explosions.
I, that's I bet you wreaked havoc with that M79. Uh, Sir, good day. If I may
No,
ask, no, no
no,
Russian
I didn't see them.
advisors.
There were stories that people saw them. I never had that experience.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
no, I can't even attest to ever seeing a Cambodian in Canada in Cambodia.
Wow.
Um, yeah, I mean, we were in their rear areas.
Um, Sean from the Facebook group, he's saying thank you, Tony.
Oh
Oh,
man,
he's got a question also.
my pleasure.
Did you guys ever plant one of those eldest sons rigged bicycles back
No,
out?
no. I didn't know of rigged bicycles, but I knew of rigged ammunition. And in order to be effective at that, you needed to find an ammo dump and not get caught finding the ammo dump. And that I never had a mission that where that happened for me.
Okay.
So I would have happily done one of those missions, but I never had the opportunity.
All right. We've got two more. Let's see. Well, one's a comment. Daniel Owen says, as a combat veteran himself, you are the type of men we look up to. Uh,
I'm totally humbled by all this attention, and I I I was doing what I thought I was supposed to be doing at the time. I didn't, I was just trying to do what I could. Um, I did other things in the Army. I had a successful Army career, but to me, in a way, I knew it was special, but knowing that it would never be known, it wasn't anything that I could talk about or tell stories about. As a matter of fact, when I was on the Halo detachment in Okinawa, Ron Jungling was a CCN guy. John Allen was I think a FOB3 guy. I think he was at Fubai, and me, and Joe Markham, the team leader, was a Delta guy. Matter of fact, Joe Markham had captured 7 prisoners. He had a big rep.
wow.
Um, yeah, all of us guys were on the Halo detachment in Okinawa, and we didn't talk about it to each other. We just knew that we were,
Solid
what
vets.
did you do at FOB2? I ran Recon. Okay, cool.
Wow.
So we didn't talk about it. With the stopping power of the car versus the M16. Was there any noticeable difference? I didn't notice any difference. I didn't like the M16. I love the Car 15 because it was, short, had the expandable stock. You could put a lanyard that goes from the barrel around your neck to the stock. You could keep your hand on trigger mechanism and use your other hand to move jungle away. You could use the rifle itself to move jungle away. It was, I liked it. And when you're close in, I mean, you want some stopping power. The AK-47 had stopping power. That shit would go through trees. The Car 15 could cause more damage if it hit you.
Wow. Yeah.
I mean, those guys we ambush on the trail. I mean, the you could see the bones in their legs. They were laying there in the middle of the trail. The bones in their legs were exposed. I mean, the Car 15 just blew all the meat off their bones. I mean, they were moaning and groaning, but they were dead. They just didn't know it. They just didn't know it yet.
Like you said, I've never heard any complaints of the Car 15 users. We've got two more. It looks like some keep coming in. This one's interesting. Did you notice any cultural differences in the CNCs, CCN, CCC, CCS, like in how the vibe of the place was?
That is a great question, Lean Mean. That is a great question. Yes, absolutely. I never served at CCN, but I'll tell you a story. I have a friend who recently passed away, Rob Graham, who was at CCS, and he was in 1-0 school with a guy from CCN, and they were on their FTX or their field training exercise. It's a training exercise, but it's live fire. You actually run a mission. And so they heard a signal shot, and the guy from CCN wanted to go to where the signal shot was, and Graham wanted to skirt around it and come in from a different direction. This is a story that Rob told me. Different direction. And the CCN guy said, "You guys from CCS, you're fucking cowards." Like that. Ooh. Yeah. And if anybody knows Rob Graham, he's no fucking coward. As a matter of fact, he told me in that school he was the honor grad, so he evidently did the right thing. And
Whoa.
since that's okay.
Okay.
And then I served time at CCS and at CCC. And here's the conclusion I came to is that when I was at CCC or FOB2, and we ran missions into Laos, that you could get all kinds of shit air support all over the place. You could get A1Es, the SPADs. They had a long time on station. They carried everything from napalm to 250-pound bombs, 40 millimeter cannon, cluster bombs, whatever the hell you wanted. They could bring some of this stuff to bear. But when you're in Cambodia, the only air support you got was from helicopters. So all you got was gunships, miniguns, and rockets. Which not to diminish that, but it's not like having
fast movers.
Guys in the fast movers tend to scare the shit out of me because they're moving too fast. But the A1Es were slow. They're prop helicopter, prop fixed wing, and they carried a lot of ordnance, and they could put it in your pocket if they wanted to. So I like that, and you got that kind of support when you were doing a target in Laos. When you were doing a target in Cambodia, and you just didn't get the same kind of air support you could get in Cambodia. So if you're running a mission in Laos and you get caught, you can bring a whole shitload of scunion to bear. I know, I've been there, I've seen that. You can bring a whole lot of death to people. But if you're get caught in Cambodia, one, it's going to take the helicopters a little while to get to you. Two, all you're going to have is miniguns and rockets. And you're a bit more careful about walking down trails or looking for contact. You know, you want to avoid contact. As a matter of fact, I used to get pissed off at the guys who would say, you know, if they didn't make contact in the first 3 days, they're going to start walking down trails, or at least people that used to brag about that stuff. My idea is that you're in there to get in there and lay up next to that road, get all the intel you can, and then get the hell out. And them not know you were there. That was the best mission. You know, when you got caught, you always I always figured we fucked up somehow. So it's like that. So yes, there were different cultures at all three different units. The wildest stuff I think went on at CCN and CCC. The OK Corral stuff. Yeah, it was like the OK Corral in those two kind of places. That was kind of diminished down at CCS, and and CCS had shit mud everywhere. You couldn't get away from the mud.
Yeah, there's definitely getting to know you guys from CCS or that served at CCS. There's a there's a cultural bond amongst CCS that, to be quite honest, you don't see everywhere else. I mean, all of the CCS men are even if they were exploitation forces or what have you, if you were at CCS, I mean, all of y'all are together like brothers still. It's pretty amazing to see.
Well, we were like, I don't know if I mentioned it here last time, but when I was at FOB2, I mean, you know, that's people like Joe Walker and Zab Zabatowski and Ron Howard and Rob Howard and all those guys, man. You know, they were, and then people before them, and then you know they had all these legends and stuff. And I'm a buck sergeant, and so I'm not in there. I wasn't in those guys' league at that point, you know. But when I was at CCS, everybody was my age. You know, we looked up to each other. You know, there were legends. I mean, like Shriver was a legend. People like that, you know. I knew Bob Llewellyn too. He was at CCS, but he wasn't there when I was there. I liked him very much. Stationed with him at Fort Devens.
Oh wow, they're. I mean, the CCS definitely had. I mean, Baby Son Davidson, Jerry Shriver, you know, Roy Benavidez. I mean, there's a long list of CCS.
Rob Graham,
Rob
Bob
Graham,
Nicole, Ron
Frank
DiCarlo.
Opel,
Yeah,
Deke, yes sir, all
yeah,
of them.
yeah, man.
They get. I hate to say it, they get. I'm glad Colonel Lindsay did his book, but that there needs to be another book because CCS has been overlooked in my opinion in all of this.
Well, you know, they weren't part of the CC system. I think they were what, Omega Project or something like that, or Sigma. One didn't they have
They
a Greek
conglomerated in 60, yeah, 68.
a Greek letter name, and so they were kind of seen as part of the system, but not really. Yeah,
The redheaded stepchild almost.
yeah.
Uh, Um, what was the average engagement distance in the firefights you guys were in?
Well, in the ambush I described earlier, it was like reach out and touch. He was close. Um, on the road, they were close. It all depended on the situation, but I'd say for the most part, you don't see who you're shooting at. You're shooting in a general direction where you see fire coming from, because no one's going to stand out in the open and let you shoot them. So you shoot in a general direction. So you don't really have any idea how many people you're putting down unless you're, setting up an ambush or you're in a situation like Bob Barnes and I was in, that I spoke about in the last podcast, where we had to defend ourselves on top of a hill, and people are running at you, and you got to put them down. So it varies. Bayonet distance, let's say, to a football field distance. It really all depends.
Wow. We've got this last one since it kind of ties in. It's lean mean again, and then we can get to some of the Halo stuff if you'd like. By the way, was it Cambodia that had the prohibition on the use of white phosphorus because of geopoliticking with the king? Did that ever factor into your experiences?
No, I took white phosphorus.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I had white phosphorus grenades, and I had white phosphorus rounds for my M79. If there was a rule against, it, I didn't know it. And the Covey marker rockets were white phosphorus. So I don't know if that was against the rules and we were doing it anyway and that was classified, or
I think I remember.
I think there might have been. I don't know.
I think I remember a story about that and them becoming so fed up with the king because of his double dealing, that the guys, I think it wasn't Lindsay at the time, but somebody else just said go ahead and do it because it's not, it's going to end up saving lives and helping out more than, the heat that comes down from the State Department or whoever the hell it was. So,
but my pay grade, man, I don't know. I used it.
Yeah.
I didn't like it, but I used it.
Yeah, I've heard some very sad, terrible stories about some guys dropping them, and the guy CCC guy Chuck Hines, and sadly it killing him. It seems like some very nasty stuff.
Nasty shit, man. Don't want to get it on you.
No, not at all. Last thing you want on me. So would you care to speak about what it was like, not only finally leaving SOG? Terry Cadenback said we use WP in Laos all the time as well. But what it was like leaving SOG, but going back to Okinawa and being around your snakebite guys again on the Halo team.
Well, there wasn't a whole lot of snakebite guys on the Halo, but there were a lot of SOG guys on the Halo team. A lot of Recon guys on the Halo team. Well, I got back. I got immediately promoted to E6, which I made E6 in like 3.5 years, which was like pretty fast back then. And they made me a senior commo guy on an A team. And this wasn't the Halo attachment, but it was a good team. We did a lot of training and stuff, but every one of them was drinkers, heavy drinkers. And so we had a culture, on that team, getting loaded. And I was in I was in on that. So I'll make the long story short. I started getting in trouble. We went on this field training operation in Taiwan, and we were supposed to use that little black box, the burst device, to communicate things back and forth. And I wasn't making contact, and I wasn't receiving anything. And so we were running out of rations. And so me and a guy named I won't name him, an SFC, our weapons guy, um, went into the closest city to get rations for the team.
Ooh. Ooh.
And so we did. And while we were there, we got loaded. He got into some kind of trouble. And in the meantime, I called my wife on the phone. I don't know why I did that. That was a stupid thing to do. But I called my wife on the phone. Back in we were in Taiwan, so this is back in Okinawa. So we get back from the operation, and I was in big trouble. Rumor got around that I called my wife, and my company commander found out about that, and want to know, why didn't you call me? You're not making any fucking radio contact, and then the getting drunk and the incidents around that and that kind of stuff, and so he called me in his office and had me stand at attention, and Sergeant Major, I wish I could remember this guy's name because he saved my entire career. So the commander said, Sergeant Love, if it hadn't been for Sergeant Major here, you'd be losing a couple of them stripes. And so he said, we've decided that you're on the wrong team, so we're going to put you, on Joe Markham's team, which was the Halo detachment. Best thing in Special Forces ever happened to me. I loved that. These guys were good soldiers. I was immature. I had no business being a senior radio operator on an A team. I think they gave it to me because I was, combat experience or whatever it is. But I was like way out of my league. And again, didn't like being in commo. But I was a junior radio operator on the Halo detachment. As a matter of fact, John Trantanella, who made the Halo jump made a SOG Halo jump, he was the guy I replaced because he left. The Halo detachment trained
Michelle.
Okay. Michelle Allen. Halo jumps on Okinawa. Let's see. Well, we had a jump. We jumped once a week, and and then when we would go off to train other special forces, like we trained the Korean Special Forces in Halo, and we trained back then it was the Republic of China. Now it's Taiwan. Their special forces in Halo. So lots of jumps. I stopped counting jumps at 65 because that was enough to get my master's wings, and that's all I cared about. So I stopped counting at 65.
Wow.
But
Was John?
I love being on the Halo detachment, and I had a lot of fun doing that. And I learned how to, and actually, it kind of set me up for the rest of my life because since I was doing training, technical subjects, Halo techniques and whatever else, I got pretty good at that stuff, and after that, made a pretty good living running my mouth.
You mentioned the A team and Joe Markham. Can you remember who all was on that? Was John Allen and Trantella on your A team, or
Trantanella,
no?
I might be mispronouncing his name,
No, I butcher names terribly.
So anyway, Trantanella had left. He wanted to go make one of those jumps. He was on the Halo detachment, as a junior commo guy, I think, and he was the people that trained the people from Vietnam when they had the mountain yards there on Okinawa, training them there before that. Some guy committed suicide and they moved it all back to Vietnam. But Trent Neville was on that training and he wanted to make one of those jumps. I don't blame him. I would have done that too. Pretty hot stuff.
That's a terrible story. That was actually the man who died. He was they were there for the RT Florida combat insert with Cliff Newman and all of them, and that it just went downhill. Started with Billy Waugh breaking a leg, and then that, and it went downhill from there.
Yeah, but we were doing a lot of stuff on Okinawa to we're trying to stuff out. Like we were jumping out of OV-10s, which are, I wish you could make a picture of that, but for those of you who are interested, Google image OV-10 Bronco, and they have a little compartment in the tail. They have a little, and you can put 4 jumpers in there. So we were testing out jumping out of the Bronco. We also tested when we did that operation in Korea. When we were training the Korean Special Forces, we tested out putting a kind of a day. It wasn't a day glow light. It was wired to a battery, but it was sewn on the top side of Joe Markham's parachute. And so we jumped from, on this training mission, we jumped from 16,500 feet with oxygen full equipment. And Joe opened a little lower than the rest of us and turned on his light, and we could all like hone in on Joe's light. And we landed within like a 50-foot circle the whole time.
Wow.
So we were experimenting with that kind of stuff on Okinawa. And then I think at some point, the Halo detachment at Fort Bragg sent us a cease and desist letter. That's not your job to do that. It's our job to do that. I mean, probably, might have been a turf thing, might have been whatever. But who cares? One of those things.
So, well, I mean, what becomes of that then? Or do y'all immediately literally have to stop doing?
We didn't jump any LV-10s after that.
My God.
No.
Wow. I'll be sharing some of those photos you sent me of the OV-10s. There's some great photos that I'll get out today.
Yeah, and that's not me. That's something I poached off of Google.
I've got a few of your jump photos too that I'll end up sharing as well, pertaining to all this. There was something else that we were going to talk about Halo wise, and I'm blanking on what it was. Let me see. No, that's talking about a SOG thing. Did y'all? I guess it was the training aspect. I remember the photo you sent me of Mr. Ron Jungling and I believe y'all were training the Thai special or the Thai special forces at that time, weren't you? Y'all ended up getting y'all's badges and.
Well, that's we that was when we trained the Chinese special forces in free fall, and then they in turn trained us in the rough terrain parachuting school there. So we had the wing. They awarded us the wings for their school. That was fun. I mean, we lived with them in their barracks. We learned how they lived as soldiers. We ate in their mess halls, which was like communal eating. They didn't line up and get served. They dropped a big pot with a chicken in it in the middle of the table, and everybody kind of dove in. I also learned that they fill their canteens with hot water, actually boiling water, so that they can make tea. And they claim And they claim that if you drink warm or hot water, it quenches your thirst. It fools your thirst into feeling quenched.
Wow.
Who knew? They said, and you drink less water. So they say.
Wow. What did you think of them overall as soldiers? Were you pretty impressed with their capabilities?
Yeah, but I was more impressed with the Koreans. Koreans,
Mm.
man, those guys were tough. They um, take no guff, highly disciplined, extremely high protocol. Um, it was made you feel inadequate.
I, I, I've
You know, they have knife practice every day. You know, it's
yeah.
like
I've I've recently come across some stories of some facts working with the Rock Marines and just how brutal and the VC quickly quit messing with them, taking pot shots at them and all that because they just go on a scorched earth campaign and just
they were
they were
tough.
bad. Yeah, bad dudes, bad
They had a
dudes.
bunch of them stationed outside in the Trang, and there were always, you know, when I was stationed there, there were always stories about what the Koreans were out doing. They were tough guys. They still are tough guys.
Mm.
Um, we uh, we went to train there. Uh, there's a resident detachment that stays in Korea. They're actually stationed in Okinawa, but they are stationed in Korea. It's a whole A detachment. The resident detachment from Okinawa stays there in Korea, so they have, you know, a full team leader, medics, weapons people, that kind of stuff. As a matter of fact, Bob Barnes was the team sergeant of that at one time.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah. So we had, you know, when we got there, we had Army support, or American Army, excuse me, support. Um, but we were working with the Koreans and teaching the Koreans, and they were some tough folks, man. And what was interesting is uh, anybody that wasn't an officer saluted us when we walked by. It didn't matter if they were a sergeant or what. They all they all saluted us when we were there. It was, you know, quite the thing.
wow.
But so anyway, tough guys. We had this young medic. His name was Leaf, Leif. Um, Brilliant kid. I mean, and we used to like bust his balls so much. You know, you don't find a medic that special force medic is not smart. Medics are smarter than all of us. You know, so this guy Leaf. As a matter of fact, he had a letter of commendation from President Marcos in the Philippines. So
Oh,
he was on an A team, and they were out there doing some training. You know, some working in a village out there, helping them make, you know, get fresh water and that kind of thing. Well, civic action, doing civic
wow.
action stuff.
Hmm.
And one of the fishermen was fishing with dynamite, and it blew up in his hand, and it blew his hand off.
Oh,
And Leaf amputated his freaking arm. That's how, you know, and he had a letter of
wow.
commendation for that. So
Wow.
so he was smart kid, you know. But we used to say, you know, ask him, you know, a kicker plate is what holds your pilot parachute on a Halo rig. So we say, how many holes on a kicker plate, Leaf? And you go, 5. Oh, you dumb fuck. Seven holes on a kicker plate. 7, goddammit. No. So later on, we go look at a kicker plate, and I only had 5. So, hey, Leaf, how many holes on a kicker plate? 7. You dumbass.
No.
He's 5. You know what I mean? Anyway, like that. So we were always busting his balls because he was smart and he's going places. So we wanted to make his life miserable. So anyway, so I had the first class. I was teaching canopy control. I had the first class that morning, and so I'm setting up in the classroom doing some stuff up on the chalkboard, and Leaf was there with me, but he was sitting in one of the student chairs. Just like at your elementary school, student chair with a desk on top, and he's sitting back in his seat with his feet up on the next desk up, and his beret like top down on his eyes, like he's half asleep. So the Korean captain comes in, the team leader for the Halo detachment, Korean Halo detachment. He comes walking in. So I popped to attention and threw a salute, Morning, Captain Suh, S-U-H. Morning, Captain Suh. And he popped back, saluted me back. And fucking Leaf sitting in his chair, feet up, going. He goes, "Good morning, Captain Suh," like that. And I thought, and I could see in Captain Suh's eyes, man, his eyes got big. And I was like, "Oh my God, what a this fucking kid." So, in order for Captain Suh to save face, I had to fucking chew Leaf's ass in front of him. So I stood him up at attention and made him stand there and salute. And, don't you ever do it. Don't you ever. Who the fuck do you think you are? So anyway, so later on that afternoon, man, I told everybody about it. This motherfucker here. He's in his chair, laying back, lounging, saluting from the lounge position. So later on that afternoon, we were in class and we took a break, and so Leaf and I run off to the latrine, and the Koreans don't have urinals. They didn't have urinals. All they have is you step up and you piss in a trough. I mean, it's about 8 foot wide, so you can fit about 5 people in there if you need to. So I'm on one end, and Leaf is on the other end, and we're both pissing in the trough. And this Korean general comes walking in, and so he's standing halfway in between Leaf and I, and he's standing there pissing. And I looked down at Leaf, and I could see he was like shuffling around. He didn't know what the fuck to do. What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? So he's shuffling around. So finally, he shakes off, and I shake off. We go outside, and I said, Leaf. I said, why did you salute that general with your fucking dick in your hand? He said, I didn't do that. I go, I know you didn't, but I'm fucking telling everybody you did. so like that.
Oh, I'm sure he was quite popular amongst the team after that story got out.
So while we were there, this is another funny story. While we were there, I hope you guys don't mind I'm telling funny stories this morning.
Not at all.
My buddy Jungling, who I fondly call Jug, he was at CCN. He was the medic there when CCN got hit in August of '68, and I think I heard reports that he did a hell of a job, whatever he did. But great guy, my running buddy. We loved each other. We hung together all the time, and so we were there, and we were after we'd finished the duty day, we were in the bar, and the medic from the resident detachment was in the bar with us, and I think he and Jungling were in the same medic class together. So we're sitting there drinking and we're talking shit and shooting the shit. And so Jungling looks over at the medic and goes, I'm going to make this name up. Hey, Jenkins, I need for you to look at my dick. And so he goes, okay, Joe, let's go over to the dispensary. So and Jungling says to me, come on. So we all three trot over to the dispensary, and he unlocks the door, go inside, turns the lights on, freaking gloves up, gets down on his knees and says, okay, Jug, let's see. And so Jug zips his zipper down, pulls out his dick, and the medic's like looking at his dick. What's wrong, Jug? I don't see anything wrong with it. Jug says, oh, there's nothing wrong with it. I just wanted you to look at it. I was falling on the floor laughing by this time. And then he like, I wasn't laughing hard enough. He looks at the medic with his dick still in his hand. Cute, isn't it?
Oh my God! What a guy!
Oh,
What
man,
a
I
guy!
love that guy. I love Jug. Well, what's so funny to me? Well, there's a couple of things funny about that story. Is one, he had to think that up in the bar. He thought that whole thing up in the bar.
on the fly, and
he made a
immediately
plan. He had a plan. And so, and then the other thing is that he recently passed away, and so I was in I'm in a bunch of Facebook SOG groups, and some of them are private groups where it's just us SOG guys, and then the other where it's friends and family and that kind of stuff, and I get mixed up. So he died, and like a couple of days after he died, I said, I have to tell this story. So I write this story out in the Facebook group, and it wasn't the private group.
Oh God!
And his whole family saw it. So I get a reply from his daughter, which says, "Oh my God, that is such a funny story. That is so my dad. That is exactly who my dad was." So it's like, oh my
That's
God,
hilarious.
I thought I was speaking out of school, man. So anyway,
That is hilarious.
I think I'm all out of stories, my friend. I
Yeah,
don't know what else to say.
we've got a few questions. If you'd like to
Happy to
take some
answer any
before we.
questions.
All righty. I have a feeling I might know the answer to this, but I'll be interested to see what your answer is. Was there anyone in particular, or maybe a team that you would have liked to have run a mission with in SOG?
I ran a mission with Team California. I ran two missions with Team California. Once I was 1-0, but I would have liked to run with Joe Walker.
Mm, mm.
I really would have liked to run with Joe Walker. And in retrospect, I probably would have liked to run with Rob Graham, but I didn't know it at the time. But
Oh yeah.
Joe Walker was I wouldn't have mind running one with Bob Howard either. He was good. But yeah, Team California, the Yard Team California was a good team. I mean, sans the Americans.
Mm.
I mean, any American. I mean,
You were right there.
Probably the worst team leader 1-1 they ever had was me and Barnes.
Not true. Not true.
Well, I mean, look. I mean, the thing is that Barnes knew what the hell he was doing, but ask anybody that ran with me. I was a shitty 1-0. I just didn't like I didn't like everything you had to think about. I wanted to focus on being in the box and doing what a lot of them ask me for advice, but I'm way better giving. I'm way better giving advice. Now they got us surrounded on three sides. Let's go this way.
I mean, you were right there at the last incarnation of California before Joe actually took it over for good.
He took it over from us. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
That's pretty interesting.
yeah. But
Y'all handing the reins off.
I would have loved to run with Joe Walker. Yeah, Joe
Absolutely.
Walker was good.
His name is usually one that pops up. I knew you. I knew now you would definitely say RJ about running. I could just see y'all two out there running Recon together. I bet that would have been a hell of a squad, y'all two together.
And George Hunt too. I would have that
That's gonna.
story in Uncommon Valor about the suicide, or actually it's in both of those books, about the suicide mission that didn't go. I would have gone with George Hunt. George Hunt was a good guy, man. He was tough.
That kind of ties into our last question here by Jason. Also, he said, "Would you mind talking a little bit about any of the bright lights you were a part of?"
The only bright light I was supposed to go on was the suicide mission that didn't go. I was not on a bright. I never went on a bright light.
Wow. Okay, and that was if y'all remember, I believe you went in with detail about it on the last podcast, but that was that was dubbed the suicide mission that never occurred. It was.
Yeah, well, I mean, the thing is that George Hunt had a new guy. There was a team that was in trouble. I can't remember who it was. Team that was in trouble. They were going to. The decision had been made that instead of trying to get them out because they couldn't, what they were going to do is reinforce them with another team, land us a little ways away from them where they were in contact, and then let us move to them. And so we, so George Hunt had his team. I don't remember what team he was on at the time, but he, his 1-1 was a new guy and had not had any combat experience, and he didn't want him to go. His first experience to be heavy combat, so he asked for volunteers. They put us in a group, asked for volunteers, and I kind of looked around, and it didn't look like anybody was going to oh yeah, me, So okay, I'll go. And so he said, gear up. So I geared up, got on the choppers, went to Pleiku, refueled, was on our way into the which would have been a bright light. On our way in, somehow they got the team out and never went. Well, the story is to me that was a mission that never happened. So I completely forgot about it, until I met Rob Dumont, who wrote the book with Joe Pinar, Pontoon, Saw Pontoon. His father-in-law is George Hunt, and George told him about this suicide mission that I evidently volunteered for. And I'll go, I do remember that. I remember everybody standing around and nobody jumped up real quick. And so I volunteered.
Wow.
But, I mean, I have to say, I kind of like that stuff. I mean, it was the euphoria, post-combat euphoria is an addictive drug, dude. At least it was to me. I kept trying to. I still 77. I'm still trying to find that high,
man. That's one thing. That's for sure. That's one thing in common I hear is it was one heck of a thing to get in Charlie's backyard and get back safely. There's nothing that compared to that feeling, guys said.
Well, for about 3 years, I did this college aid thing for a disabled woman. She was about 18. She had cerebral palsy, quadriplegic, and had speech difficulties, but smart. And so I'd take her to school and write notes and read her papers out loud because she couldn't, and those kinds of things. And the the funnest part of that was, catching a motherfucker in a handicap zone. that was that was the funnest part of that for me. I was going to eat their ass up. Nothing more fun than being right, you know.
Wow. Boy, I would have hated to have been one of those guys that were in the handicap spot when you came a knocking.
Well, I would get up in their face and call them a whole bunch of motherfuckers and stuff like that, and then I would like look in their eyes, and as soon as they showed fear in their eyes, I
Oh
was
yeah,
think, say, okay,
yeah. Been
okay, I'll let you go.
been out alpha, out alpha.
And even if they picked a fight with me and they beat my ass, it just looks bad beating up an old man.
Does Tony remember when?
Oh yeah, what year? That was in. So I graduated jump school in August of '66. I finished phase 3 in May of '67.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. And not long you were off to Natrang to work.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
uh,
I was in the 7th group for very short, very short time, and I really wasn't on an A team, and I wasn't doing any training. Like I said in the last podcast, it was most of the units were pretty bare there, and we were just pulling post details and raking leaves and
mhm.
KP and that kind of thing. I hated that. I'm too lazy for this shit.
All right, we've got two more from Brady and Jason. Any stories of Indig turning against their own teams? Was this common at all?
It wasn't common, but it happened. I think there was a guy named Lowe, Loe, I think. I think his team. I can't remember the name of the team, but they turned on him.
Oh,
And I think I remember the story, but I mean, I remember the team turned on him. They tried to capture him, and
jeez.
I think, and I remember he had injured his hand because a grenade went off close by, and he got away, but his team turned on him.
God Almighty! Wow. I've heard a few incidents, and it wasn't all that common, but like you said, I've heard of it happening. Um,
Well, I've heard of teams having safe words.
oh
That if
yes,
if
sir.
they said the safe word, then everybody they killed all the indig.
Absolutely. Mr. David Maurer spoke about that. That's very, very sad, but they had to be safe. Jason, for the last one, were there any teams or maybe individuals that tried getting away with not running missions while you were around?
Um,
Rimps, I would guess, or I don't know.
no, not really. I mean, actually, at FOB2, I was there during monsoon season, so not a lot of missions went, and they were very careful about putting you in because sometimes they could get you in and couldn't get you out.
Hmm.
Um, there was one team like that, as a matter of fact. They stayed in 11 or 12 days um, because they couldn't get them out.
Wow.
It was weather was all socked in the whole time. Anyway, Teams that didn't want to run missions.
Now later, I'll jump in just to put it out there. I've heard stories from men personally that now 70, 71 guys were doing what they could to stay out. I mean, I've even heard of guys getting circumcisions in 71 or so to not when they started turning stuff over and were the last Americans and stuff.
Ah,
But I
yeah.
but in Tony's time, I
After my
most of the
time.
guys were yeah
No,
yeah.
everybody's pretty gung ho. In Bambi to it, we ran hot and heavy. You go on one mission, you come back, you stand down for a couple of days, you get a new mission, you train up, and then you're off on it. So, quick turnaround at Bambi to it. FOB2, when things were clicking, yeah, pretty quick turnaround. But like I said, had the monsoon season, and that cut down a lot of missions. So you get a mission, and you be ready for the mission, and it didn't go, and then that mission would be overcome by something, by events, and then you get a new mission like that. So like I had a wiretap mission that we waited and waited and waited and waited and waited, and then it just never went. Is that? But no, we had folks that we call strap hangers that were, come out of the combo bunker and want to go on missions with us and that kind of thing. They want to get a CIB or want to at least see some action or that's cool.
We've got one more after this. Frank Anton. Not familiar with this.
On his return, he was shown photocopies from road watchers of him on the trail. American road watchers?
Let's see.
Or are you talking about Vietnamese road watcher or NVA road watchers?
That's a great question, and he said there's
I
a
don't know either
book.
way. I don't know either way.
Yeah,
It's after my time.
yeah. Evidently, there's a book about it. Ricardo, I'll look into it. I'm like Mr. Tony. I'm not quite sure about that.
Yeah,
And
that's after my time. I didn't, and I haven't read the book, so.
we've got one more good one to close out
All right.
with Daniel. Did you happen to encounter any booby traps such as tiger traps, tripwires, snags, or pungies?
That's it. That says boy traps.
Yeah,
So,
and he
sound like
quickly fixed,
sound
but
like a gay
yeah.
bar. No, actually, I was talking to somebody about that the other day. I mean, it's like I have this resort that I go to on the weekends. It's like it would be like if I put up a booby trap at the resort. Why would I do that? So we're usually in their rear area. Either they're back there resting, retooling, gearing up, planning an action. So they're in essence in the rear. And so very seldom found any booby traps. I never found any booby traps. I'm sure some people may have, but I never found any booby traps. Or I never worried about booby traps actually that much.
Yeah, I'm not all that familiar of y'all coming across there. Of course, there were, French mines left behind that y'all may have come across or teams that didn't lay out topop coordinates, but I've never heard really of y'all getting too booby trapped, so to speak.
I remember I was with Moose once and we were in this thicket of bamboo and we kind of pulled back the bamboo and then sitting in the middle of this bamboo, no indentation, no evidence that it had fallen down this bamboo, but was a cluster bomb, an American cluster bomb. And we still to this day I can't figure that out. We didn't touch it,
Damn.
we didn't move it, we took pictures of it, but it was an American cluster bomb that evidently had not exploded when it was dropped, or somebody had transported it there for some reason or something. I have no clue, but I do remember seeing one of those. But
Damn.
no booby traps and no boy traps either.
Boy traps or booty traps. No.
Booty traps.
But it looks like that's all we've got for questions right now. Guys, we might end up doing another one with Tony before my internet. I'm going to be calling the guy today to figure it out. But Tony, is there anything else you'd like to leave with us today before we shut down?
Again, I appreciate everyone watching. I have a good time answering your questions. Um, some of the things I didn't, you guys are talking about, I didn't experience, but I'm happy to do that. I've got a long list of things I can talk about. My time after, how the Army was after Vietnam and those kinds of things. I spent 20 years in.
We definitely need to get into that for
Oh,
our next.
and I was in the unit that's in the movie Men Who Stare at Goats, and I can,
That yes, we've got to get into your later part of your career, especially
if you
that.
like, if that's
Yes.
interesting, if that's interesting to you and your audience, that's great. If it's only interesting to you, you and I can talk, bud.
Oh no, they're already saying they're ready for part three already. So yeah, they're definitely on board. So all right, it
All
looks
right,
like
man.
we'll go ahead and shut her down for the day, and I will be in touch with you later on.
Okay, bud. Thanks a lot. Thank you to
Thank
your audience.
thank you for joining us.
Okay, bye bye.
See you later. All righty. Let's see. All right, guys, that was a great little run there. We I'll ask, dang, he just got off. I'll message that to him right now and ask him. I'm sure he did because he was not only was he with California, which he usually fails to mention, but he was actually in RT Iowa as well. Actually, he was on RT Iowa before he was on RT California. So I'm sure Cypress he did. I'm writing your name down right now and putting the RT Kentucky and a question mark to ask him, and I'll get up with him. Got the PayPal up and going now. Waiting on the technician to get here, like I said, to hook everything up. So once it's gonna be going, once this is up and going, it's gonna be awesome. I can't wait to actually have a computer that's running. Um, Tiny URL, which is link shortener, guys. Yeah, I've got to fix that lean main. Um, yeah, Tony, the Iowa that team has that's literally the first team across the border. Huge history. Yes, absolutely. I've got to fix that. This was the one I made as a backup when the internet started going bad. So the other one's extremely short. It's literally just PayPal with like the reconnaissance cast. So I'll redo that on here. But I just wanted that's up on the YouTube page and I think my Instagram page as well. I'll have to check it. But I'd like to have Tony back on and Terry before me and Terry were speaking yesterday, I believe. And we're going to try and get him on to talk. Again, we won't have photos till I get the computer up and running, which is why we didn't have any today. Although Tony's pretty good about not needing any issues or need any photos. He's a good storyteller, so that worked out well. But as soon as the computer gets up and going, we've got a great slew of guests and authors coming. I'm actually finishing or starting the second book on the cat killers. If you remember our sit down with Frank Doherty, his teacher was uh is a 220th cat killer. He gave me his book and his CEO's book, and finished his book. I'm reading the CEO's book right now, and then I'll be on to Rick Prado and then Ben Milligan for them to come on. But I'm excited to have the gunship of William Walter on, and then the cat killer guys on. That one's going to be great because both of them have sent me a ton of. Got a cat coming. Sorry, hang on, guys. We've got a ton of gunship photos. I mean, insane amount. Not only from Vietnam, but all the way up until probably around 2003 to when he was really not active per se. He quit flying, I think, in 99 and took over his admin role, but he was still out with the boys. So I'm really excited about that. And I'm really excited about having Mr. Carlisle on. By the way, that SOG Pontoon that Tony was mentioning earlier. Um, and we've got all our Force Recon guys on. They're waiting to come on. Lieutenant Peters, Lieutenant Finlinson, Rick Rabinold. A lot. We've got a lot of people waiting on the computer. I could do it like this, but a lot of these guys have such amazing photos that would lead to questions that I'm just going to wait as best I can until it's only going to be another week or so. Some of the questions. I appreciate that. I'm doing all I can. I've been blessed that that all these guys have been so open with me, and I've got quite a few that I've been speaking with for years, and then some of the newer ones. I need to see that, Eric. I would love to see that photo. Uh, Yeah, please do. I'd love seeing Moose photos. He was quite the guy. Yep, Rabbi, where that's one that's going to be great. That's why I'm waiting. We've got Rabbi, Colonel Finlinson. I'm wanting Doc Norton to come back on. I need to talk to him sometime this week. I've got my list right here of people that have already said they're ready and just waiting. We've got Joe Messer, who's okay. Jim Grimshaw, who was just inducted to the Ranger Hall of Fame. I've got to talk to Alan Farrell, and Dale Hansen and Joe Parnar. But we've got, besides the Marines, a ton of people. I've just got to get on here. I need to try and reach out to Tom Yarborough. That's one I don't know how to find. I'll start beating the bushes, so to speak, and see if I can get any email or anything like that. Because yeah, you're right. He would be a heck of a guest. But dude, you're gonna be really. I'll take photos and put them on my Instagram story of these two books. The Cat Killer guys were flying for the Marines, like the headhunters were doing for SOG. They were flying the DMZ and into North Vietnam in bird dogs, like Frank Doherty. He's got some crazy stories, crazy of helping infantry units, force recon teams, you name, and actual. He hooked up with some an A camp and was working with them for a few months. Really cool stuff. Um, Dang, there was something else I was just about to say about. Oh, Frank Doherty and Bucky do want to come on. I talked to Frank yesterday, and I'm going to talk to Bucky, or he was going to talk to Bucky, and as soon as the book comes out, uh, he said he wants to do a show with him and Bucky, and talk about not only them being together, but how they met, and all of that, what life was like on the compound, not doing VR for drum missions and stuff like that. So I'm really excited about that one. I think that one's going to be a very, very cool episode, having both of them together after all this time. Um, Cypress, I've been loving your channel since I found out recently. My grandfather, Thomas Easterling. That name, I know that name. And I think he ran Recon, and I'm writing it down so I can remember it. My email is on this page, Cyrus. You need to either find my Facebook I'm at my Instagram or email me. My Instagram is on I think it's Bud Gibson something, but it's easy to find. Um, and get up with me. I'll be looking for you and let's talk about your. Did you say your grandfather? Okay, yeah, because that name sounds very familiar. Yeah, Bucky, that one is going to be very good, very very good. And Terry, actually, Jason, and when me and Terry were talking, I'm going to probably call Brew Taylor today or tomorrow. I've been in touch with him. He's a legend that ran with Lynn Black, Tilt, the Frenchman, Dick Thompson, all of them at CCN. And he started off in the hatchet forces and then went to Recon and then NKP. I'm going to have him come on, talk about his experiences in NKP, which was super secret stuff, which we've yet to hear about all they did. Um, and then have him and Terry talk about the differences of CCC and CCN hatchet force work and the maybe the differences, the commonalities, the gear differences, and stuff like that. I think that one will be really really cool. So I've got to not only talk to Brew but also to talk to Terry, and it'll be great. Yeah, he was the 1-0 all of 19. Yes, okay, I know him. 1970. I wonder if that's when Kirschbaum and Ron Gravett were. I've got the I've got all of the team histories and I've got several photos of him. Your grandfather was a absolute stud. Um, yeah, and he might be a 1-0 award winner. You need to find my Instagram or my email on my YouTube page and email me or find me or I'll find a way to get up with you because we need to chat. Um, but I'll be in touch with y'all. I'm gonna see, like I said, that the next one will either be Terry alone, or we may try and see about me and Jason will end up having to do one to stretch it out until because we were going to do a question and answer, and some of the new saw guests are wanting to know all of the short terms like NKP 1-0, RT, ST, Hatchet Force, all of that. So me and Jason are probably going to end up doing a show like that, and dog back there, uh, and literally, as soon as I get this computer hooked up and running, we're just going to be putting out shows like crazy because we've got probably 10 or 11 guests just waiting on me. So it's going to be awesome. But I'll get up with y'all on Instagram, let y'all know what's going on whenever I talk to Terry and Brew and all of them. And we'll just go from there. Uh, Appreciate that, Brady. Appreciate that. And we'll be getting Ed on also. Glad to see you're getting to help out there. We're gonna have him on for part 3, and then he was talking about doing a special Q&A and photo session, talking about all of his photos and all of that. So, yes, our Cypress, absolutely get with me, man. Yep, you guys have a wonderful day, Jason, Brady, Infantry Door Gunner, everybody, Lean Mean, Eric, y'all, you guys, Daniel, Alex, thank y'all for always participating. Terry, Rico, um, I'll like I said, I'll be in touch. Y'all be good. Don't get too hot out there. It's absolutely ridiculous. Um, God, I'd love to see some of those pictures, Cypress. When we connect, I'll get some photos of your grandfather and send to you. In case you don't have any of these. History, but all the secret. No. Yeah, absolutely. We're that's what I'm wanting, a full NKP special from Brew. I think y'all are gonna really like Brew. He's quite the guy. Um, but I'll be in touch with y'all. This dog's about to rip my arm off. I got to take her out. So I'll see y'all later. Y'all be good, be safe, don't get too hot, and like and subscribe and share the video if y'all don't mind to get us out there. Get some more people out there. We're trying to. Me and Jason are trying to get Annie Jacobson to come chat with us one day. So that's our big get we're trying to do right now. But yeah, y'all like, share, and subscribe, and I'll be in touch. See y'all. Have a good day.